Hi friends, as usual I'm very excited to see you here. If you are meeting for the first time, I'm Shankar Pandey and this is the Dr. USB channel. I host videos on media, communication, research and statistics on this channel. To stay updated with the latest on this channel, I urge you to consider subscribing to the channel. Although storytelling is done in dozens of formats and in thousands of languages, there is a unity amongst these different stories. It is defined by Freytag's pyramid. Let's find out using narratives for storytelling in this video. There are three different elements of the story that needs to be worked upon: the character, the location, and the movement. We'll use the plot structure of Shawshank Redemption to demonstrate the 5 elements of Freytag's pyramid. Storytelling is one of the oldest human traditions. Although creative writing spans a number of genres and thousands of languages, the actual storytelling formula hasn't changed much. Novelist Gustav Freytag developed this narrative pyramid in the 19th century. This is a description of a structure fiction writers had used for millennia. Pyramid begins with the exposition, which introduces the major fictional elements. The exposition ends with the inciting incident, the event that starts the main conflict of the story. The rising action explores the story's conflict up until its climax. Things get worse in this part. Climax is the turning point in the story's plot structure. The falling action explores the aftermath of the climax. And then we have the resolution, which ties up the loose ends of the climax. We'll now demonstrate these 6 elements through the Shawshank Redemption plot structure. Exposition introduces the major fictional elements, the setting, characters, style, etc. The writer's sole focus is on building the world in which the story's conflict happens. Andy Dufresne and Andy's good friend Red is introduced here. Andy is sent to prison. Red is someone who can get anything done. The exposition in this movie ends with the inciting incident, the event that starts the main conflict of the story. Andy is in court and faces trial for the murder of his wife. Andy is found guilty. He enters the prison after conviction and is faced with all the madness in the prison. In the prison, the warden takes a liking to him because Andy helps file his tax returns. He does so for every guard in the prison. Andy makes lots of friends, but the warden starts to dislike him and throws him in a small room with no light and with nothing else for 2 months. The rising action explores the story's conflict up until its climax. Things get worse in this part. Andy decides to escape. He had been making a tunnel in his cell with a rock hammer that he had got from Red. Andy steals the warden's clothes. He puts them in a bag, tied it to his leg, and with that he crawled through sewer pipes to escape. The climax isn't just the turning point in the story's plot structure, but also its themes and ideas. Before Andy had escaped, he had made Red promise to meet up with him if they ever got out. Red was set free a little earlier. He had a job and decided to go meet Andy. In falling action, the writer explores the aftermath of the climax. Do other conflicts arise as a result? How do the characters react to the climax? The resolution of the story involves tying up the loose ends of the climax and falling action. Sometimes the protagonist dies, the antagonist escapes, a fatal mistake has fatal consequences, etc. Other times, the resolution ends on a lighter note. Here, Red found Andy working on a boat at the beach. They see each other and are overwhelmed with joy. We'll now discuss some elements of narrative theory. In his book Narratology, Mickey Ball describes a narrative text in which an agent conveys to an addressee a story in the medium. A story is a particular manifestation of a fabula. A fabula is a series of logically and chronologically related events that are caused or experienced by actors. Narrative texts differ from one another even if the related story is more or less the same. The distinction between story and fabula is on the difference between the way in which the events are presented and the sequence of events as they occur in the imagined world of the fabula. Events, actors, time and location together constitute the material of a fabula according to Ball. These events are organized in a certain way into a story. Their arrangement in relation to one another is such that they can produce the effect desired, be this convincing, moving, disgusting, pleasing, or even aesthetic. The events may be arranged in a sequence that can differ from the chronological sequence. The actors are provided with distinct traits. Thus, they are individualized and transformed into characters. The locations where events occur are also given distinct characteristics. There can be different points of view of the narrator. Different kinds of stories can be created by choosing and ordering these elements in different combinations. One important thing to remember is the power of the anecdote. According to Ira Glass, it has a momentum of its own and is very effective. The other thing is the moment of reflection, the reason why a story is being told. We'll now introduce the concept of movement, which could mean conflict or partnership. According to Bradshaw, character are the people affected by the issue directly and indirectly. Then there is the setting, the places involved. Once you have exhausted all your ideas for those lists, you can start to identify the third ingredient, movement. The movement can be between characters, there could be conflict or partnership between the characters, or between settings, there could be journeys, coercion, etc. We now demonstrate a story that begins with the description of a character. Lau El-Basouni is a Palestinian electrical engineer on the NASA team that designed Ingenuity, an innovative robotic helicopter that landed on Mars in 2021. I have always been passionate about the environment and having an impact in changing our planet to a better place. I really wanted to focus on making things better on our planet. Stories may begin describing the location. Rockets developed inside an abandoned leaky church in Kerala, satellites assembled in brick sheds in an industrial section of Bangalore, and equipment worth millions transported on ox carts are images that have become synonymous with the early years of the Indian space program between the 1960s and 80s. The story may begin with an activity 2. Every day Chaudhry Muhammad Hanif, 70, leaves his house located up in the hills of Dadgai village at 9 am sharp. He walks down 2 kilometers to reach the road and then walks another 5 kilometers to reach Gando sub-district of Chenab Valley. Throughout the day, he visits different offices with applications, complaints and demands of local villagers. Thanks for staying along, friends. As usual, it has been a delight having you here. I'll be back with another video very soon. Till then, have a great time.